Zamboanga City, like Filipino Turkish tolerance school, Chinese or the Chongwa International School. There's a Chinese community in Zamboanga City, and eventually we expanded in areas like Isabela Basilan, Sulu State College, Looc Sulu, Marawi, Maguindanao. These are some areas that people thought free education or debate education is not appreciated. But we have an aim which is actually to educate young Muslim people at a time. So my fascination towards reaching communities like Sirawai eventually started because I was from those communities. I'm part of those communities because my father works in the Philippine National Police as a chief of police in different areas in like Sirawai, Siocon, Cebu, and Bolivian. So growing up, I was already exposed in these different communities so that people won't ask me, why are you sharing these things in a wider audience? So my focus is Sirawai and its imaginary borders. So I started discussing or sharing information about Sirawai because I was thinking I wanted to share my mother's hometown. I'm not sure if there are audience interested about it, but I did not care. I just wanted to share the idea or concept of Sirawai. If they like it, then better. If not, then that's perfectly fine. Yeah. So Sirawai and its imaginary borders. So let's talk about first the geographical structure of Sirawai. So when you talk about Sirawai, I'm not sure if you visited or familiar or at least look at it in the map, or maybe you're not interested of Sirawai because you don't know that place. So Sirawai is a coastal municipality located in the southern Philippines within the province of Zamboanga del Norte. It has a diverse population composed of Tausug, Sinanga, Chabacano, and Bisaya communities, reflecting to the multicultural character of Zamboanga Peninsula. According to the Philippine Statistics Office in 2020 consensus, Sirawai had a total population of 31,163 people. Based on the average annual population growth, next slide. Sorry. So, based on the average annual population growth rate in region, and the population in 2025 is estimated approximately 32,500 to 33,500. Although the exact approximate figure can only be confirmed in the next visual consensus, Sirawai has a total land area of approximately 503.10 square kilometers, making it one of the largest municipalities in Zamboanga del Norte. The municipality is composed of several barangays, like including Balatacan, Doña Cecilia, Guban, Pulang Lupa, San Nicolas, and Sirawai proper. Sirawai is also part of the locally known Triple SC, which stands for Sirawai, Siocon, Cebu, and Bolivian, which I've mentioned my dad was assigned on those different places. So geographically, Sirawai is surrounded by coastal waters and mountain terrains, which historically shaped the transportation system before they traveled to Sirawai through sea transportation. But eventually, sea transportation like MV Sampaguita, Alison, were not anymore like losing their finances, for example, or logistically struggling. So eventually, and also the transportation was actually leading towards land-based. So eventually, it became a land-based transportation in the form of Lisami. Lisami is a bus, a name of a bus, and then Yago is a motorcycle or habal-habal. But in my case, every time I travel to Sirawai, I usually choose Yago because it's more exclusive and I don't have anyone to travel with for safety purposes because that's what my father wanted. So, next slide, please. So, that's the first lens that I wanted you to get to know Sirawai. The next lens that I wanted you to get to know Sirawai is through the lens of the local. So, the name Sirawai is believed to have been coined to two terms, Sira, meaning broken, and Away, meaning quarrel. Local interpretations associate town's name with historical, political, and cultural tensions that have shaped its identity over time because there's always a chaos between the Kolibugan tribe and the Bisaya communities. Sometimes the term Bisaya communities sometimes before they coin it with people speaking Bisaya. But eventually, it developed into another perspective according to the local, which means that when you're Bisaya, you're a non-Muslim, whether you're Chavacano, Tagalog, or sometimes they call it kafir, meaning those who are actually not practicing Islam. One of the prominent claims comes from a member of the Kalimugan community who believe that they are the rightful original inhabitants of Sirawai because for Kalimugan, they are the owner of Sirawai. So having a political right or having a right in Sirawai is very important to them. That's why they don't think Bisaya community could have a political leadership, especially in the context of Sirawai, because in their mind, why would we fall under your leadership? When in fact, we are the original inhabitants of our community, which is the Sirawai. Aside from that, that's why they thought of interpretation. Maybe the reason why it's Sirawai because there's always a quarrel and political and cultural tension. There's also second narrative. There is also a belief that there's also a belief, for example, according to some locals, that there is a one widely circulated story about Sirawai is the arrival of a Sali, a figure believed to possess spiritual authority or holiness. According to the local, the legend says that when the Sali arrived in Sirawai, the local people were unfamiliar about him with his status and failed to recognize his sacred position. And due to the misunderstanding and suspicion, he was allegedly killed on Sirawai, and before his death, the Sali is said to have cursed or make a sumpa in the place, declaring that Sirawai would never find a lasting peace and his people would eventually experience conflict and unrest. Next. So, okay, so I just wanted to look at the barangays in Sirawai. If you notice, barangays like Balatacan, Balongkan, Bulubuan, most of the barangays are actually inhabited by Bulubugan community. While places like Saint Mary, San Nicolas, San Roque, San Vicente are actually inhabited by the Bisaya communities. Oh, so Kalibugan, also known as the Kalibugan, traditionally live in mountainous areas. So what's the reason why they live there? Because their source of income or livelihood actually relies there. They plant marang. I'm not sure if you know what marang is, or lanzones, or paku-paku, the fern. So that's their source of livelihood. And then the next one is the Bisaya communities typically live in settlements named after a Catholic saint. So if you notice the list of the barangays, so they live in like barangays like Saint Mary, San Roque, San Nicolas, San Vicente. There is some source of income also there. When you are in San Roque, your source of income is fishing in seawater. When you live in Saint Mary, it's more on commercial, they sell products. So, yeah. And some source of income. However, there's an exception to the rule. Like Buban is a logging company. That's where the Dacon company is. So all the employees of the Dacon company live in Buban. Lagundi Island is an island owned by my mother's side. Eventually, it was owned already by my mom because she wanted to spend all her savings and the savings of my father because she believes that no one should sell the Lagundi Island. It should only be carried by our family, my mother's side. So even when we moved to Manila, she still comes back to Lagundi because she feels that she's connected with the island. That's why she wanted to keep that. Sirawai proper is the commercial hub or capital. We still have them. For in Sirawai, San Juan del Norte. Yeah. So the last one is I wanted you to get to know Sirawai on my point of view as a researcher and as a son of my mom. So it is my mother's hometown, a place deeply connected to our family's roots, memories, and cultural heritage. Like despite of us traveling in different areas in the Philippines, my mom would always wanted to go back to Sirawai. Because according to her, that's where she started dreaming. Because she loves dancing growing up. Unfortunately, she was not able, given the chance to explore dancing. Because she was tasked to take care of the children of her siblings. So instead of exploring her love for dancing, she married my dad and eventually built a family and yeah. You can see me now. Okay. So the last one, which is the most important part, maybe you will ask me, so where's the concept of borders? This is the main point why we are organizing this conference, or the concept of borderlands. So in my context and in my research as a researcher, it talks about unspoken rule and agreement of boundaries territory. So usually, people get tired of political and cultural tension between the Kolibugan tribe and the Visayas. So eventually, when you're Bisaya, you live in areas named after a saint, like St. Mary, San Nicolas, San Vicente. But there are other factors because of the road widening, government intervention. In our case, my dad didn't want us to live in Muslim communities because he's actually half Bisaya, half Chinese. He believes that living with Muslim community is not safe. And he always reminded me not to like associate myself with Muslim communities and never trust them. Something that's the kind of psychological upbringing that he wanted to forward me. But eventually I learned to realize the reason why. Because sometimes people try, especially the Muslim community, they wanted to monopolize Islamic studies or Muslim history, when in fact these are shared history. Islamic or Muslim history are actually should be looked at in different lenses. And no one has the right to own it or has a monopoly about it. That's also the main struggles while I was studying in UP, because a lot of people were already owning it. Like it's like an academic mafia where people already have an ownership. Like you're only allowed to explore a certain research interest. So in my case, I decided to stay on my own lane and study Sirawai, while the rest were actually competing with the most common known research topic like Sutenic of Sudu, Sambuanga. And I said, okay, it's up to you. I was going to focus on my research interest. Okay, so the last one that I wanted to share is that in rural areas, there's actually a more smaller concept of borders. That's why I was able to introduce to you the concept of borders in the concept of settlement. So when you're a non-Muslim, you live in places that name after a saint, and when you're Kolibugan, you live in mountain areas like Doña Cecilia, Balatacan, Piacan. There's actually an island for Kolibugan. It's called Piacan Island. We don't own it because we don't have money anymore. So that's it. So, and then when I also first saw the conference, I thought it's meant for me. It's just that I'm not anymore enrolled in this institution. So I just let God's divine intervention to aid me, and it actually works because I got an invitation to be part of this presentation. And that's it. Maraming salamat.
Okay.